Good morning, grade 3. I welcome you to today's social studies lesson. And this week we are going to first recap the content that we've learned in chapter 4, lesson 2 and 3, where we learned how humans change their environment and how we can care for the environment. And then, after we're done recapping, we're going to identify a problem in our environment and we're going to identify the steps that we are going to take in order to solve the problem that you've identified. So, let's begin. And please do not forget to pause this video for better understanding and to read between the lines. Great, so I want you to open your social studies practice book to page 40 and 41, where we're going to look into the study guide. And the directions on this page are that we need to use the terms that are listed in each box to fill in the blanks. Okay, so there are terms in the word box, we put them in the blanks, perfect. And look at that instruction, very important. Remember to use a capital letter for any word that is part of a proper noun or that begins a sentence. So mind your capitals as well, perfect. Now, we did not go through lesson 1. We're not going to be dealing with this half of the page. We're just going to focus on lesson 2. And therefore, we're going to read this. Let's have a closer view. Great. So these are words from lesson 2. Canal, reservoirs, and terraces. And in case you've forgotten, let's have a look. These are your canals. Remember the irrigation channels we spoke about? That's right. And this is a reservoir, okay, and a reservoir and a dam. And there's a little bit of a difference, but these terms basically overlap because dams produce electricity, reservoirs basically help in saving the water, collecting that water, right? And there are lots of functions to these reservoirs or dams. Great, and then what were terraces? That's right, that's a terrace right there. You can see these are hills, and people have built these steps or stairs in order to farm there. And that, helps against soil erosion because if it rains, the terraces provide a steady place where the water's not gonna flow and take away the soil. Great, helps in farming. So now that we've reviewed, let's start filling in these sentences. First, the Incas used blank to farm on hillsides. What did they use to farm on hillsides? That's correct, terraces. Next, a blank was built in Panama so that ships could travel faster between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And the answer is a canal, right? Now let's look at the last sentence. Some dams, like the Backnell Dam, can also be blank that collect and store water. The answer is it can also serve as a reservoir that reserves water, collects and stores water. Perfect. Let's go to page number 41 now. Now on page number 41 we have lesson 3 and we can see the words are right here: pollution, conservation, and recycle. Let's start filling in the blanks. The government practices blank by setting aside land for special protection. What does a government practice by setting aside land for special protection? And the answer is conservation. That's right. Let's look at the second sentence. When smoke in the air mixes with fog, it causes smog. And smog is a type of air. That's correct. Pollution. Good job. Let's look at the last one. If people blank materials such as plastic and rubber, less garbage will go into landfills. The answer is if people recycle materials such as plastic and rubber, less garbage will go. Perfect. You did great. Let's go to the next task. Now, this is page 132 and 133 from your book, and all what I want you to know is that we're going to dig into problems that our community might be having, something environmental we're talking about, and you're going to identify that problem. Now there could be lots of problems, right? And then you're going to follow steps once you identify the problem. So let's have a closer look at how and what steps you're going to follow to resolve that problem or suggest a solution for that problem. So the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to identify a problem. You look around you, look in your community, and think, what do you think is a problem environmental wise? And then you're going to find a solution and answer to the problem. So problem is something that is difficult or hard to understand, and then solution is your answers to that problem. Then you gather information about the problem. Step 3, you list and consider possible options for solving the problem, like what can we do, what can the community do, what can the neighbors do, what can the city do to improvise, what can the government do, right? Things like those. And then step 4, you consider the advantages and disadvantages of your options. So what are going to be the advantages of the problem, the solution that you come up for the problem? And what are going to be the disadvantages of your options and your opinion that you've chosen to suggest? And step 5, you're going to choose a solution and act on it. So that's how you solve a problem. Let me guide you. All right, so I would like to share a problem that I think is a major problem here in our environment, and how the community can work forward towards its resolution. So I'd like to suggest, when I go to the beach and I see people using plastic and leaving their trash behind, it really breaks my heart. And we need to come up with a solution for that. I think that's a big one. People do their barbecue and they leave their coal behind, and it just breaks my heart and makes me so furious. And I think that this is something that we can resolve. So the first thing I do is that I identify the problem. That's step 1, right? You could identify more than one problems at the same time. You could choose just one. It's your call. Then I'm going to gather information about the problem. Now, I think the reason why there's this problem to begin with is because we have trash, we have plastic, and we have coal that's detrimental for the environment. So get rid of that plastic. I think that just throwing away the garbage into the garbage bins is going to work, but then again, we need to get rid of plastic. So we could say no to plastic, and we could just bring our own bags. And what could be a solution? Well, let's go to step 3 here. What are the possible options that we can? Well, I think that we could consider that we could make a suggestion that no plastic bags should be allowed whatsoever in the malls and the grocery stores. People need to carry their own bag, and if they do not, they should be fined in terms that they can take a plastic bag, but it's going to cost them. Okay, it shouldn't come for free. So put money on that plastic bag, and people are going to learn not to use plastic. They will try to bring their own bags. Now, let me go to step 4 and consider the advantages. Well, the advantages, it's definitely positive for the environment. And the disadvantage of my option is that people are going to be a little mad because they have to pay money for a plastic bag, yeah? So that's a disadvantage of the option that I'm suggesting. Step 5, choose a solution and act on it. Well, I think that it should become mandatory to carry your own bag, and no one should be given plastic bags whatsoever. So that's a solution. And how can I act on it? Well, I need to model it myself. I need to carry my own bag. So there you go. I want you to do the same. This is your task for today. I want you to identify a problem, and I want you to come up with a solution, but do not forget to follow these steps. And do not please share your work. So I want you to complete today's assignment, leave a comment in the e-discussions, and do not forget to share what problem you chose and what are the steps that you identified in order to solve that problem. Best of luck, grade 3.